Greetings, thanks for joining us. Okay, this is Alien Disclosure. I'll beat that one to death. Jupiter, basically channeling the energies of Jupiter. I'll go into that. I connected them for a little while today about going into some of that. Also, Mars. I tapped into Jupiter a little bit and give it another perspective of Mars. I'm not going to go too deep into that. And then George Carlin energies. I just saw a documentary about him. So George Carlin's interesting. When he's getting older, it's kind of obviously he's like a comic philosopher, and people weren't really ready for his stuff. He wasn't really ready either. But in his early days, he wasn't really. It's kind of like waiting for his audience to be ready for him. So it's like he's getting ready and they're getting ready. But like in the '90s, I think that's when he really hit pretty hard. I mean, he did earlier than that, but he had things would go well for him, and then everything took a dive. I think it was around the '80s where everything took a dive. So I don't remember the details of it, but when he got older, he called himself, if I remember right, like a fairy king. So he was really, he was super nice as an old guy. Like what is old? Like he died in 2008. I thought he died later than that, but I'm not paying attention that much. He was really nice in his home life, but when he was on stage, he just pretty much didn't care, about humanity. I mean, he cared, but he just laid it on pretty strong about kind of like a dark sense of humor, of course, or it is a dark sense of humor, but it has justification. It was darker than usual, but at that point, he didn't really care. So for Alien Disclosure, here I'll put out a scenario for you, and wonder why connections aren't happening and all that. One of the reasons. Basically, obviously, you have a job situation. We have to go. This is probably common knowledge for a lot of people, but this is kind of like a recap, anyway. Just because. So we have your, we have our everyday, grind. You have to go to your job every day. For most people, and that stress of that and survival. You have all those stresses. So think of like you take like a group of people where they don't have to work, or you don't have to, worry about living. You don't have to worry about your living. You don't have to worry about anything. You just go off somewhere and be a bunch of hippies and trying to kill each other. Let's put it this way: a more mellowed out group, because I realize some of the spiritual community can get pretty dark. I guess it depends on what kind of spiritual community you're connected to. Some are like, hey, look, a sexual predator. It's like, jeez. Hey, look, another one. And another one. And it'll just come out of nowhere. So like I said, okay, how about a nice, spiritual community that doesn't have those things? Well, I guess you can have those things, whatever. But where you have like a group where you can just go off in the middle and just like I would say in the middle of nowhere or like a nature area or something like that. You have to have some kind of civilization, but not too much, like a small town or whatever. But where you can just not have all the stresses of life and, heal your demons, have a little bit more positivity than just, like I said, some of these spiritual communities, like, I guess are spiritual not in the best ways. Like I say, it's either way. I guess I have to be more careful, I'm trying to be more detailed in what I'm trying to get at, but a group of people that are spiritually developing, you're not perfect, everybody has their issues, that's fine, but overall you're pretty much mellowed out. You're mellow, you just, hey, you have a positive frequency around each other. Yeah, there might be relationships and all that, maybe romantic situations, which is fine, but either way, that's going to happen no matter what, probably. But it's just that where you put your intentions on for some kind of contact of any kind, or just live and just live, and you can be directed to places where is for some kind of contact, if that's what is the mission. Um, and you can have some kind of obviously, as long as they're not corruption. All these spiritual groups, they got corruption like such. I mean, hey, look, now it's a cult. So if you go beyond that part, which is not easy, we don't have somebody controlling everybody, because that's what Heaven's Gate had. Heaven's Gate was controlling people. You couldn't do this. You couldn't have relationships with people, whatever. It's like there was a lot of good people in that. There's probably were a bunch of freaks too, but there's probably a lot of good people in there too. So you don't tell people what to do. You just hang out. Just like I said, you're all pretty much on the same page overall, and you're looking for contact, but you know, and you're just living life, simply, but you're not letting the world pull you down. You clear out your darkness. You can work on that with each other, which is cool if you're all mature about it. It's all about maturity. And you can open up a vortex for some kind of alien contact of some kind. But there's so many that are doing cults and things like that, not to mention names, where it becomes a little bit difficult for, so it's always said, put out a little bit of the detail of how that can occur. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. Well, you shift your vibration. So, like I said, everybody's doing well. Like you have, like, I don't know, a group of 10 people, for example. You have like a living space. Is decent, not perfect, but not bad, just to keep your vibration decent. And you just not let the world control you, put you down, or anything like that. You just hang out with each other, meditate, whatever it is that you want to do. And you look at life at a more higher frequency. Yeah, you can bring in higher dimensional energies eventually. But you have to be tuned to that. You can't just, it's not an ego thing. It's just, even if one of you in the group can connect to it, others might follow in some form or another. But just basically, the vibration around you has to be higher, though. In some of these spiritual groups, it's just not happening. I know there's places out there that say they are. Shasta's one that has a lot of difficulties going through, not to mention others. But yeah, Shasta is more like a commercial place, but that is one place you can meet people. But Shasta's a little bit. I mean, you can. That's a good place. You can still, as long as your group is at a good frequency, it really doesn't matter where you are. But so it can happen. That's going to happen eventually. So people say that contact's not going to happen. It can. It depends on where you are individually. So, people are waiting for the ships to land and all that, but if you're not there vibrationally, what the hell? What's the point? And so many people are, especially all the stuff happening in the news and all that, just to lower the frequencies. It's all just to test us, to keep our vibrations low. You have Black Lives Matter, you have all this other nonsense, you have the news, all. So as we shift our energy, basically it's like the news doesn't have the power that it used to anymore. It doesn't influence people as much anymore. And you have alternative news not influencing people either. You're not longer being pulled in these psyops anymore. Of course, you have spiritual psyops that are going on currently, not mentioning any names. Some of them are pretty obvious. And some that, they talk about high vibrational people, but some high vibrational people are here and manipulating other people, creating their cults, because they haven't had that many Earth incarnations, but they have a sneaky energy about them, because they can come here, hey, I'm high vibration, but they're messing with everybody. So you'd be surprised. And those that don't have a highest vibration, a lot of them have just been here a long time. Been through war, been shot at by everybody, and been through everything, buried alive, whatever it is, your vibrations aren't going to be the best. Yeah, you're doing the best you can, but you have a lot of knowledge and you have a lot of soul strength. Your soul is very strong. And that's the other thing, is your soul strong enough to not be pulled into these cults, and to, be strong for some kind of for the world to evolve. And some just give away their power, join a cult, and that's it. Waiting for the ships to land. We wait a long time, probably forever. That's just not the way it works. Yeah, shift your frequency, meaning that there can be places where, like if you, I'm thinking like a group. I'm always putting that as an example. Like I said, a group that's not corrupt by cult stuff. I have to keep saying that because that seems to be the poster. That seems to be the theme here. You have the spiritual group that's high vibration, but the damn cult. It's like you just flip through the Rolodex of cults. They're everywhere. So anyway. So yeah, that's that for that. So going to the Jupiter being energy. I don't need to go into the disclosure. That was pretty much it. Unless there's somebody else that needs to come through. I think that's about it for that. At least to lay that out. You can think about it. Let's sit with it for a while. As I'm talking about my private sessions, the schedule. The shop here on the 14th, I think, of May. Same situation here. Webinar, social network, and behind the scenes. So the George Carlin thing, I just connect to that consciousness, maybe not fully him, but some kind of part of him or something like that. That's not the main thing of all this stuff, but we'll see. Okay, all right. We're going to Jupiter, Mars, and then it's like a little timeline there. So, and maybe disclosure comes through a little bit. Okay, all right, blessings. Greetings to you. We are the consciousness of Jupiter. Blessings. Our vibration is there to, or here, physically here, to protect your world. Now, not all Jupiter beings are of the best frequency. We are part of your upbringing, you can say. Jupiter energies are mostly a high frequencies, but realize we have other versions of our planet that are of the lower dimension also. And they do manipulate your world. Some beings are Jupiter beings. Some of them are very much connected to drugs. There's an up and down vibration about it. It's not perfect, but we are, for the most part, here to protect your planet overall. Not everybody's going to agree. There's different perspectives of everything. There's a light and dark to everything. Saturn, on the other hand, Saturn is, yes, a planet there similar to the moon to control your world. You've already seen this through symbolism. I've heard it over and over again for those that you dive deeper into this. Saturn has the energy that wants this world for itself. It's similar to Mars in many ways, of where it feels like it has ownership over your world. And you see the propaganda here. So you have Saturn and Mars holding on to your planet, controlling it in their own ways. And of course, humans here cannot remember because their Akashics have been shot down. And that's why many of you incarnated in here, as difficult as it is the raise of vibrations to your fellow humans, as you already know. You might not see a whole lot of progress because it's a maze. Some might be raising their vibration, but are they going to the right direction? Most of them are not. Well, they figure they just raise their vibration, not wish ill harm on anyone, and that's it. There's a little bit more to it than that. Yeah, who's controlling your vibration? Who's telling you what to do? Where are you getting your information from? How far within are you going? Are you going within at all? You might think you are, but how far are you going? Are you going anywhere with that? Yes, you might have a good vibration towards others and have a good love life, things like that, but are you stagnant? Is things not moving? And of course, if you get that awakening bug, you can awaken, but it's There's just many layers to this. There's many psyops on our planet, as you can see, that are keeping humans hostage mentally. Well, they feel like, it's turning into like spirituality is similar to like Sunday school. You just do it. But are you getting anywhere with it? Yes, you might be spiritual, you might be more knowledgeable on certain levels, but are you are you going around and around in a circle? Are you going anywhere with it? Some might feel that they are, yes, you are to a certain level, but are you going deep into yourself? Are you breaking out of all these control mechanisms, which are one after the other? Are you just picking apart your reality? Most aren't doing that. So you're still part of the reality that you're in. You're still part of the control grid. The more that you break away from it, many do feel more depressive energy around them. It's because it is depressing because you're no longer part of the system. And yes, it's another part of your awakening. Doesn't mean everybody is awake and has to be going through some kind of depression energy, but it is very common. Yeah, the more spiritual you are and more depressed you get, most likely you are going deeper into your own vibration. You might not always be aware of it because there's beings keeping you from knowing more about yourself. So you might be spiritually evolved but you feel still a lot of anxiety because there's other parts of yourself that have not been fully open. There are many beings around here trying to keep you from not opening up any more doors within yourself. Oh, just clear out that anxiety, you'll be fine. Watch that video or whatever it might be, and just keep coasting on a river that goes nowhere. There's always doorways within yourself you can't open. It's not always a Galactic Federation. Yes, that's nice, Galactic Federation, but in a lot of ways, that's just another spiritual control grid. So don't you want to just be free? Well, to be free is to connect to the timelines of past, your future life, your past life, or past time, of what version of Earth did you come from? Because everybody sees the past differently. So, blessings. Greetings to you. We are the Martians. Not all Martians are bad, but you can take that wherever you want. It's like channel a reptilian being. Martians and reptilian beings, we all seem to be on the same level of we're all just registered as bad, and that's it. But the Saturn beings that are here, a lot of them are spiritual teachers. A lot of them are also university teachers. A lot of them are programming people, and they're very good at it. And they have their apprentice too. Yes, a young, upcoming spiritual person that's been extremely taken over. To be your spiritual leader, we come to find out it's more just another hijacking. There's many spiritual hijackings going on, but is the common human ready for all of that? Is like, yes, you might have left religion, but you found another religion. It's called spirituality, where it still has a lot of closed-minded energies and ideas that keeps you in prison. So, yes, quite common. That's the Archon system that was put here. And the Martians just take advantage of it. Well, in the Martians, in the Saturn beings that just are selfish beings, they just absorb the human frequency. It's like, if you don't want your energy, we'll take it. So in the agony people go through, they're just sucking the vibration. If you're giving your energy to the wrong person or beings, or, like you have some spiritual teachers can actually absorb your vampire energy. Now, who's ready to see that one? Many aren't aware of it. It happens in churches all the time. Now it just got more sophisticated. Now you left the church, and now you're in the Wild West, which is in a lot of ways worse. At least with the church, you've heard all the stories and all of that, so it's like, I'm not sure about this, but we'll go for it anyway. The spiritual groups, this is all still very new. The New Age group is still very new. Of course, that's up to you. Now, Martians that come here, they brought all their problems. The ones that incarnated here, they just brought all their issues. Well, they found this world very easy to take over. So they did. So they're a part of Atlantis, the crash of Atlantis, and also just the destruction of Lemuria. It was easy. They weren't prepared for any of that. I mean, there are positive Martians, yes, but even the positive Martians had no idea the negatives would do such a thing. That's up to you to connect to those timelines. You don't have to. You can get to whatever you want, but some of you have Martian lifetimes. That's one of the reasons why you have the amnesia that you do. A lot of it comes from Mars. They don't want you to know who's controlling your world. The less you know, the better. Yes, the dumber people are, because people aren't connected to their Akasha. So yes, you can take a high vibrational alien being like an Arcturian being that's giving you advice. You incarnate them on this world, yes, they'll become an instant drug addict. They might not. Now, as aliens, they give good advice, but when they incarnate as humans, a lot of them don't know what to do with themselves. Where's the latest drug binge? A lot of them just, it depends on how they incarnate here. If they're prepared for the incarnation, they should be okay. If they're not, they lose their minds. And that happens a lot. So you're gonna, yeah, it's quite complicated here. It's very alien. Yeah, you're dealing with this whole system around your world is so sophisticated. The more, yeah, there's a lot of pieces to it. But the more that you are wanting to learn, yeah, you might not be able to figure it all out, but the more you go into the haystack, more awakening comes through. Greece uses the consciousness of George Carlin. This is not exactly George Carlin's, the one that you know from your Earth, but this is more of a settled down version, more like the angelic version. Well, George Carlin incarnated as an angel being to set the world straight with insults, but also a philosophy, basically a philosopher king from other realities. But he had to, because obviously he was he was on a lot of drugs, because he couldn't slow himself down. Of course, that's made things worse. But he couldn't find a high out of life. So many of you incarnated basically to bring that high back for others, but yes, to remove the carnage of the planet. You realize you see the trickster beings that are doing everything they can to lower the frequencies of the earth. Well, some of them, that's the best. That's what they can do best. Chaos beings. They're not necessarily called Archon beings, Palladian beings. They're just chaos beings. They just plan your world out to how can they keep your world from, how they can keep it from just staying in that chaotic vibration. It's a game to them. Well, they're actually created to do it. So it's, your world is obviously not understanding the non-physical, and the non-physical is what's doing all of this. It just triggers the human. I mean, the non-physical triggers the human. The human, creates your reality. So you're getting help. So you can blame it on the aliens, but still the human. It's the aliens and the humans. It's influence. But it depends on where you are vibrationally to see who is doing all of this. Yes, are you ready to see God, basically, or some version of it? For Carlin was a suffering soul, even from the very beginning. A lot of just loneliness, kind of like a tiger being. Basically, be happy with just devouring people. It's just a lot easier, or something. Or making love, but at one point it was just devouring people, so you can see all the negativity flowing out of them. It's just rage. Well, it's rage of being misunderstood. It's rage of just not feeling loved, not loving himself, yes, but not being misunderstood for the most part. Living in the 50s, 60s, where early 70s, probably where he's cookie cutter. So he couldn't be as raw as he wanted to. So, and many of you feel the same way. Many of you are actually going through your own version of that. I mean, yeah, he is the star seed being for the most part. He doesn't talk about aliens. He would have talked about aliens. I think that was a little bit too far ahead. He would have. I believe he brought up in some form or another, but the stereotype of the alien just, intelligence and they leave. But the alien frequencies, yeah, many are still having difficulties digesting it, at least on a massive level, on a mainstream level. But basically, the definition that all of this will come more part of your society. It'll find its way in, where humans are no longer basically for more humans to have their own experiences. Now they already are having experiences, but they just think it's a demonic being or something. It's a kind of psychedelic situation. They kind of brush it all off. But when humanity begins to take this stuff more seriously, and it is little by little, but obviously the mainstream media is so controlled right now. Is the media is basically a demonic entity at this point. It has been in the past, but it's been getting more and more demonic. It's more just look, a news event, something negative happened, and they're just enjoying every minute of it. They're feeding off the vibrations there, the negativity. Obviously, they're mainstream, so if you say that to them, that's where most of your narcissists are. You want to know where a narcissist comes from. It's created there through propaganda. That's one of the places. It can happen in royalty also. So for disclosure, it is happening it's being blocked through your media, but your media, through conspiracy theories, you see the demonic connections there. And it's going to become more and more well known to some of you how these people are truly being. Now, those that can't handle the negativity leave the media, but many of them are basically just a bunch of demonic beings at this point. Mostly possessed. There are people there, but just possessions are getting stronger and stronger. It's a tool. They'll use it as long as they can until humans wake up from it all. You are seeing the puppets right in front of you. So it just more of your intuition and awareness awakens even more. A shock through the system for some of you. Even those of you that are awakened to all of this can be a little bit much, as many of you know. But you'll get used to it. You'll get used to the bizarreness. It's going to get stronger and stronger of your intuition. Those of you that are ready, obviously that's a small number, but it increases, but there's only so many doses you can handle. It does get overwhelming, as you know.